Okay, sorry about that. Managing stress. Some things you need to consider are lifestyle changes. EMS providers traditionally do not have the best diets on the planet. Because of the nature of shift work, we often get caught eating fast food, late night gas station food, things along those lines. And it's really important to try and eat healthy because to maintain physical fitness. On that same line, it's important to exercise regularly to maintain agility. If you look at the history of work-related injuries, you'll notice that the majority of work-related injuries are back injuries. And it's important to learn relaxation techniques. Make sure you get a little bit of time for yourself to make sure that you can perform adequately. Everybody needs time for themselves. Important thing is to have balance. Develop a hobby. You may already have a hobby. If you look around the station over at Wayne County EMS, we've got people who play guitar, play drums, people who ride motorcycles. I like to go hiking and camping and spend time with my kids. Try to get away when you can. It's important to make sure that you can get time for yourself and your family. Learn to say no. You're not Superman. You can't do everything. You need to be able to say no at times, and it's okay. This is a huge one. Get adequate sleep. It is, for some people, it's practically impossible to get adequate sleep while on shift. But if you can't get adequate sleep on shift, you need to work diligently to ensure that you get adequate sleep off shift when you're at home. And develop supportive friendships and relationships. You'll learn that a lot of people in EMS have friends who are in EMS. It starts to consume you, and you really need to try and limit that. But it is okay to have friends in EMS because it gives you somebody to talk to relay ideas off of, to relay stress and problems off of, and maybe they can help you work through them. Managing stress in the work environment. Request work shifts that allow for more time for relaxation with your family and friends. We have some people here who work 2 and 3 jobs, and they try to request shifts that work around their other jobs. There's a couple of providers here who try to work shifts that work around their family to make sure they can spend the most time with their families, and that's excellent. If you recognize warning signs of stress, consider asking for temporary rotation to a less stressful assignment that may not be available. You can try and see where you can come up with. You may need to go to another shift, another station, another department. You may need to seek professional help. There are mental health professionals out there who will be able to help you work through problems with stress in EMS. There are some ambulance services that have recognized this problem, such as Rural Metro, and they actually provide their EMS providers with free mental health coverage. They actually allow them to get 1 visit with a counselor a month for themselves and 1 every other month for a spouse. You can talk with a social worker, member of the clergy, priest, preacher. The Employee Assistance Program is actually what I was talking about through Rural Metro, and I believe AMR has it as well, American Medical Response. Traumatic incident stress. Traumatic incident is a situation that causes a healthcare provider to experience unusually strong emotions. Traumatic incident stress is a normal stress response to abnormal circumstances, and they can affect all levels of healthcare workers. You may have heard the term PTSD, or post-traumatic stress syndrome. This is common in our military folks who are just coming back from overseas. We saw this after every major war in the United States. And we do see this in fire and EMS and police officers on stateside who are working as civilians. There are actually more and more research coming out on this topic. Signs and symptoms of traumatic incident stress include exhaustion, often due to disturbing images, anxiety, depression, irritability, inability to concentrate, indecisiveness, hyperactivity or underactivity. You might also note some insomnia, people who just don't really feel like eating, don't really feel like doing anything. Again, the term that I want you to remember, I'm going to write it up on the screen here, is post-traumatic stress syndrome, or PTSD. And then after PTSD, you may note that, especially after a major incident, you may have, after Katrina, after 9/11, things along those lines, or after smaller scale, if a provider gets hurt, injured, or killed line of duty, a lot of times they will seek out what's known as CISD, or critical incident stress debriefing. And what this is they have people who are specifically trained on stress within emergency services, specifically trained on critical incidents and post-traumatic stress syndrome. And these, it's usually a counselor, a senior, paramedic, firefighter, officer, etc. And it's usually a group of anywhere between 3 and 5 people who come in, and they take everybody as a group and debrief the incident. And they may even take everybody individually afterwards and debrief individually. Well, this is the end of our segment. Again, some key terms to remember are, remember the various stressors, the environmental stressors, the personal and the psychosocial stressors. Remember the traumatic incident stress, the PTSD and CISD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, and critical incident stress debriefing.